Hi, just wanted to jump on here and do a video about a client and his wife that's been sitting heavy on my heart. I'm going to change their names. I'm going to call them Donna and Doug. Donna reached out to me in February of 2024. She had recently moved here from the East Coast because her three daughters were here, and her husband, Doug, who was a retired pediatrician, had recently been diagnosed with frontal temporal lobe dementia. Now, she had noticed some things over the years, which is pretty common, but didn't have, a confirmed diagnosis until just around that time. Well, Donna reached out to me. She had belonged to a frontal temporal lobe dementia support group, and a woman that I had helped previously with her husband had given her my number. So Donna reached out to me and we met for coffee. She did not want me to meet Doug at that time. And fast forward, I never did meet Doug in person. And I helped support and consult Donna from February of 2024 until Doug just died last month, December of 2025. But here is what was so important in that. Donna wanted to keep Doug at home as long as possible. She had already uprooted him and moved him from the East Coast to here, beautiful home in the mountains. So that was already a change. So even though her girls were here, there was definitely a bit of a decline, when they moved here, just with the move and the new environment. But he was physically very strong in his 70s. As I mentioned, a retired pediatrician. So he had a lot of cognitive reserve. Very smart gentleman. One of Donna and Doug's daughters was going through a very unfortunate divorce, and her husband was making some accusations about Doug and his children, and they had to go through court processes, and it was just horrible and unfounded. And so regardless of that, I'm just sharing that because people go through some really, really tough things. Donna was looking for assistance, looking for guidance, and she listened. The first thing I encouraged her to do was let's start looking at some communities. She made it very clear she was not ready to place Doug now. But I said, I understand that. But when something happens, because it will, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Let's have two places picked out so that when the time comes where you're going to move him. So we did just that. We looked at several communities, I'd say 5 or 6, and she narrowed it down to 2, which was perfect. Now some time goes on. A few months, I'd talk to her. She'd reach out to me every few months, or when something would change or when something would happen. So I was acting as a placement specialist for her, as well as a dementia consultant for her. And quite honestly, just really a rock. She just would tell me that she just needed to hear my calm voice to know that she was doing the right thing. The other thing I encouraged her to do early on was to get some outside help in. Now, I also own Care Matters Registry, and in getting to know Donna and what she shared about Doug, I had a male caregiver that I thought would be just an exceptional fit. So she reluctantly agreed to meet with this caregiver and then allow him to start spending some time with Doug, so that when the time came that she really needed the help, there would already be this rapport in this relationship that had been developed. Again, she followed the guidance that I gave. Well, Doug, as I mentioned, was very mobile, very physically healthy. And there were times that Donna needed to go out. She needed to be with friends. She needed to get her hair cut. She needed to just live life as well, not only be there with Doug. So she started to allow this caregiver to come. And initially, Doug was very capable. So they would go swimming together. They would go hiking together. They would play pickleball. They developed a very beautiful relationship. Sorry. But anyway, so as Doug continued to progress, as he did, he started having some outbursts. He started wandering some. He got lost in the neighborhood. He had a couple of, I wouldn't say horrible outbursts. So with frontal temporal lobe dementia, there's the aphasic type that affects their speech. So they have a really difficult time speaking and finding their words. And then there's also the behavioral variant. Doug definitely had the aphasic type, but did turn into the behavioral as things progressed, which it commonly does. And so fast forward, when she needed some help because he wasn't sleeping at night, so she was up all night, and she was literally calling me in tears because she couldn't sleep. She didn't know what to do. I reminded her of this caregiver. Let him come in at night. Let him be with Doug. They're comfortable together and you can get some sleep. So she agreed to this. This worked out beautifully. I then introduced her to AMG Hospice for palliative care. They took him on as a client, so she had the support of social work, of nurses, of a spiritual counselor, but at a palliative level, not at hospice as of yet, but the AMG is also a hospice company, which is why I chose them also, so that when it was time, they knew Doug and they could just transition him over to hospice, which did happen after he was on palliative for a few months, probably about 3 months or so. He was on palliative and he just started progressing, as unfortunately this disease does. And about 50 days, Doug died December 10th in a community, one of the two that we had picked. He wound up going to the community about 51 days before he died. She was able to keep him home up until that point with the support of caregiving, with the support of palliative, which then turned into hospice. And she felt very, very supported. Now, was the loss of Doug difficult? Absolutely. They were best friends. But she had the support. She listened. She did things the way that I had suggested. And not that I've been through this so many times. And when you prepare and when you plan and when you get the support that you need early, it just makes all of the difference. So Doug, as I mentioned, did expire, but Donna, of course, is upset. But I connected her with her funeral arrangements as well. So she always had me as that right hand. So whenever she needed something, she didn't need to try to go to Google or to go somewhere to find what she needed. She could rely on me. She could call me. And if it wasn't a service that I had under my umbrella, I was able to connect her with a program or with people that did have the support that she needed. So this is just one of the ways that I can help as a transition specialist, a care manager, a dementia consultant. So I wound up being a dementia consultant. I wound up getting my registry involved for caregivers. I then was able to utilize my placement services and my end-of-life services to get her what she needed. So that's why it's important that when you're picking your support, that you really understand the full capacity of what they have and how they can help you, and pick your provider wisely. Now, I've got 27 years of nursing behind me. I've worked in dementia for 17 years. I've worked with hospice for 17 years. And I've been doing placement for 8 years, and I've had my registry for 5. So I feel like I'm very, very well versed in this whole transition process. And that's why I'm here, just to share this story. It's one of many, but also that Donna followed the direction, and it really made a difference. And when she's ready, she's going to give me a testimony stating just that. So again, I'm Kimberly Diaz, owner of Care Matters Always, Care Matters Registry, and Caring Minds Dementia Consulting and Training. You can find me at caremattersalways.com, and you can reach the office at 720-310-0491. I'm located physically in Westminster, Colorado. However, for dementia consulting, I can really help anybody, anywhere in the country, and maybe outside of the country someday. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to sharing this story with you. Take care.